If 2024 had a slogan, it would be the year leaders played tug of war with our work environments. Some companies embraced remote work and flexibility, while others demanded a return to the office. To understand how companies adjusted to these changes and what impact they had on productivity, we surveyed 450 plus leaders from the C-suite. We found employee monitoring is dangerously popular, but it's equally bad for morale and retention. We also discovered that focusing on productivity measurement instead of where people worked would improve company revenues. Let's take a look at the most interesting finds from this year's Productivity Index. First up, leaders believe they've nailed productivity tracking. An impressive 86% of leaders said that they were confident in their ability to measure team productivity, while only 2% admitted they weren't tracking productivity at all. Now, we know employees put flexibility at the top of their workplace priorities, but the C-suite isn't quite delivering. 67% of executives still believe the traditional 9 to 5 schedule, whether remote, hybrid, or in office, is essential to productivity. A quick dig into our data shows a lot of this may be based on fear and giving up control. 39% of leaders don't believe employees work as effectively without direct oversight. 38% fear crucial meetings will fall apart in flexible work environments. While leaders are retreating to the old playbook of rigid hours and in-house environments, they're losing employee trust along the way. Our data shows 65% of leaders admit these rigid policies are driving disengagement in their workspace. This gap in expectations and approach to productivity is putting companies at a crossroad, and unfortunately, the C-suite is doubling down on control. 70% of the C-suite say they are comfortable with using surveillance software to monitor employees. And for many, it goes even further. 67% believe it's acceptable to track personal data, like an employee's location. 76% support detailed monitoring, like screen tracking, to ensure employees stay on task. This has led to the rise of what we're calling the Chief Surveillance Officer. Chief Surveillance Officers are a growing trend in today's leadership. They turn to invasive tools like screen monitoring and activity tracking rather than putting trust in their employees to deliver results. The irony is most of these chief surveillance officers agree that this isn't the best approach in the workplace. 65% admit rigid oversight leads to disengagement, while 75% acknowledge that excessive monitoring hurts retention and morale within their team. Despite most leaders giving strong chief surveillance vibes, our research found some interesting caveats. 87% of leaders agree that focusing on measurable outcomes, like completed projects and milestones, rather than invasive employee data, would improve revenue. A further 82% agreed a shift to results-oriented work models would improve satisfaction and retention in their teams. Making this shift could improve employee expectations and collaboration while building up trust in their teams. But this shift seemed to depend on how companies measure productivity. C-suite leaders from smaller companies with under 200 employees tend to have a basic productivity tracking setup. They rely heavily on task management apps that can give insights into how much employees get done, but not granular details about how long tasks took or how many hours they logged on a project. This leaves a gap in their productivity and profitability reporting. Yet leaders in larger organizations, those with 500 plus employees, had the opposite approach. These companies report having a more comprehensive suite of tools to track productivity, including time tracking and project management software, along with performance analytics dashboards. These tools give leaders more data around their team's productivity levels, revenue-generating activities, and their well-being. Our research found there is still some resistance to a more comprehensive productivity tracking setup. 34% of leaders cite resistance from employees about invasive tracking as a major obstacle for measuring productivity. Employees don't want their every move monitored, and they're not shy about pushing back. The solution is for leaders to get a hold of the data they need to feel comfortable with their team's productivity without resorting to dangerous tactics like surveillance software. That's because empowering employees is good for morale and your company's bottom line. Our research found that over 80% of C-suite leaders believe that prioritizing productivity tracking could increase revenue by up to 20%. So, what does it all mean? Improving productivity isn't just about profits. It's about creating workplaces where employees can do their best work, whether that's at home or at the office. And tracking productivity metrics isn't about control. It's simply gathering data around your team's most impactful work. If there is one takeaway from this year's productivity index, it's this. Leaders don't have to turn into chief surveillance officers and monitor their employees' every move to get productivity data they actually need. The right time tracking software can gather key data into projects, tasks, and valuable team inputs without all the other noise. Let's rewrite the playbook around productivity and make 2025 the year you empower your team to focus on work that truly matters.